8 main reasons why your legs never grow. Don't worry. This isn't just another one of those cliché videos saying that you're not consuming enough protein or that you need to hydrate more, which we know YouTube is already full of. You'll see common mistakes people make in leg training that really sabotage hypertrophy. These are details that go unnoticed, but make all the difference. If you're one of those who usually skips leg day or does it half-heartedly, remember, leg muscles represent about 60% of the total muscle mass in the body. This means that developing this muscle group significantly increases your basal metabolism, making you burn more calories even at rest. Additionally, intense leg training promotes a powerful hormonal stimulus, naturally elevating your testosterone and growth hormone levels. And we can't forget about preventing injuries and joint pain, especially as we age. Now let's get to the mistakes. Mistake number 8, inappropriate footwear for leg training. This is one of the most subtle yet impactful errors in lower body muscle development. Running shoes, for example, despite being very popular, are designed with soft soles and advanced cushioning systems, great for absorbing impact during activities like running, but problematic for strength training. This softness creates an unstable base during compound movements like squats and deadlifts. When you perform a weighted squat on unstable footwear, there is a significant reduction in your ability to transfer force from your body to the ground. This force transfer is fundamental to properly activate the leg muscles. In practical terms, you're wasting energy that could be going directly to stimulate muscle growth. Additionally, the instability considerably increases the risk of muscular compensations and joint imbalances. Your body, seeking stability, begins to recruit muscles that shouldn't be the protagonists of the movement, reducing the effectiveness of the exercise and increasing the risk of injuries. The recommendation is clear. Opt for shoes with rigid and flat soles for your leg workouts. Mistake 7, inadequate rest time. You've probably heard that classic guidance, rest 1 minute between sets. This generic recommendation completely ignores the physiological differences between various muscle groups and the variable intensity of exercises. When we talk about leg training, we're dealing with the largest muscles in the human body. Exercises like squats, leg press, and deadlifts aren't just intense. They're true metabolic bombs that demand an extremely high energy output from your body. These compound movements recruit multiple joints and muscle groups simultaneously, creating a much greater systemic stress than isolated exercises for smaller groups like biceps or triceps. What happens when you limit your rest to just 60 or 90 seconds after an intense set of squats? Your central nervous system and energy systems simply don't have enough time to recover adequately. You start the next set still in deficit, which directly compromises your ability to maintain intensity, volume, and technical quality of the exercise. Exercise physiology studies clearly show that complete recovery of anaerobic energy systems, fundamental for high-intensity exercises, can take 3 to 5 minutes. By respecting this physiological time, you allow your body to re-establish ATP-CP levels, essential for generating maximum force in subsequent sets. Observe the most experienced lifters in your gym. You'll notice they meticulously respect their rest times, often using timers to ensure precision. Listen to your body and don't force yourself to start a new set just because everyone rests only 1 minute, or because your personal trainer is rushing the workout. Mistake 6, neglecting cardiorespiratory conditioning. Many practitioners completely avoid cardiovascular work for fear of losing muscle. This mindset is potentially sabotaging your leg growth. Compound leg exercises, like squats, leg press, and hack squat, don't just require muscle strength, they place a significant demand on your cardiorespiratory system. When you perform a set of 10 to 12 repetitions of a heavy squat, your heart works intensely to pump oxygenated blood to the active muscles, while your lungs struggle to provide the necessary oxygen to sustain the effort. When your cardiorespiratory conditioning is weak, your body simply can't meet this elevated metabolic demand. The result? Failure occurs prematurely, not because your muscles have reached the ideal stimulus for hypertrophy, but because your cardiovascular system can't keep up with the necessary pace. In practical terms, you're limiting your muscle growth potential due to a deficiency that isn't in the muscles, but in the system that supplies them. Furthermore, recovery between sets and between workouts is drastically hampered by an inefficient cardiorespiratory system. Your body depends on this system to transport essential nutrients for muscle rebuilding and remove metabolites that cause fatigue. The more efficient your cardiovascular system, the faster your recovery will be. I'm not saying you need to become a marathon runner to improve your conditioning. Activities like high-intensity interval running, cycling, stair climbing, or metabolic circuits are extremely efficient for improving heart and lung capacity without compromising your muscle gains. Try incorporating 2 to 3 weekly sessions of 15 to 20 minutes of conditioning. It can be after your strength training or on separate days. Mistake 5. Lack of range of motion. Range of motion isn't just a technical detail. When you perform a squat or leg press with full range, your muscles are exposed to greater time under tension and work through different joint angles, recruiting a significantly higher number of muscle fibers. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research compared muscle development in individuals who performed squats with full range versus partial range. After 12 weeks, the group that trained with full range showed significantly greater strength and hypertrophy gains, not only in the quadriceps but also in the glutes and hamstrings. In practice, what does training with full range mean? In squats, for example, it means descending until your thighs are at least parallel to the ground, ideally with your hips slightly below the knee line. Of course, always respecting your individual anatomy and joint health. In leg press, it means descending until your knees form an angle close to 90 degrees, again respecting your anatomical limits. Remember, it's preferable to perform 8 perfect repetitions with full range than 15 partial repetitions. True progression isn't just about increasing the weight on the bar, but how you control that weight through the complete range of motion. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to correct and science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Mistake 4. Wrong exercise selection. Analyzing most people's workouts, it's common to find a list that looks something like this: squat, leg press, leg extension, hack squat, and a single exercise for hamstrings and maybe another for calves. This excessive focus on quadriceps creates not only an aesthetic imbalance, but also a functional one, which can compromise both your visual results and long-term joint health. Legs are composed of various muscle groups with distinct and complementary functions. The quadriceps, located on the front of the thigh, are mainly responsible for knee extension. The hamstrings on the back flex the knee and assist in hip extension. The glutes are the main hip extensors, fundamental for power movements. The calves control ankle movements and are essential for activities like walking, running, and jumping. When you excessively prioritize the quadriceps, you create a strength imbalance between the front and back of the thigh. This imbalance is particularly problematic for knee health. Various orthopedic studies demonstrate that an inadequate strength proportion between quadriceps and hamstrings significantly increases the risk of ligament injuries, especially to the anterior cruciate ligament. From an aesthetic standpoint, disproportionate development creates what we call in the fitness community the matchstick leg syndrome. Developed quadriceps, but with underdeveloped hamstrings and calves, creating an unbalanced appearance when viewed from different angles. Some essential exercises that are frequently neglected include leg curl and stiff leg deadlift for hamstrings, hip thrust for glutes, different variations of calf raises, seated, standing, and unilateral, to target both the gastrocnemius and soleus. Mistake 3. Inadequate training split. At first glance, it seems logical to group all leg exercises in a single day. After all, we're talking about the same body region, right? But let's analyze this question more deeply. Can we really give our best in all exercises when we try to work quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, and calves all in the same session? The answer is no, and the reason is simple. Energy and focus are finite resources. When you start your workout, you have elevated muscle glycogen levels, a rested nervous system, and high motivation. As the workout progresses, these resources are progressively consumed. The result? Exercises performed at the beginning of the workout receive your best energy and attention, while those at the end are executed under conditions of increasing fatigue. The classic scenario I observe in gyms follows this pattern. The person starts with squats and leg press, performs several sets with dedication and intensity. Then, already considerably fatigued, does a single exercise for hamstrings with much less commitment, and finally, some hurried sets of calves almost as an obligation. It's no surprise that with this approach, the quadriceps tend to develop while other muscle groups lag behind. A more strategic approach would be to split leg training into 2 separate days in the week. One day you focus on quadriceps and glutes, and on the other on hamstrings and calves. This division allows you to dedicate maximum energy to each muscle group when it's the protagonist of the workout. You'll be able to use more appropriate loads, execute movements with better technique, and mainly, generate a more potent stimulus for muscle growth. A common objection to this approach is time limitation. We know that not everyone can go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. If this is your case, a viable alternative is to alternate the main focus within the same workout each week. For example, in week 1, prioritize quadriceps and glutes at the beginning of the workout and do hamstrings and calves last. In week 2, reverse this order. Mistake 2. Not controlling the eccentric part of the movement. For those unfamiliar with the term, the eccentric phase is when the muscle is under tension while lengthening. In leg press, for example, it's the descent moment, when you're controlling the weight to not let it fall. Most people in gyms put all their focus on the concentric phase, completely ignoring the hypertrophic potential of the eccentric phase. It's common to observe practitioners who push impressive loads, but let the weight practically drop on the return, losing a crucial part of the stimulus for muscle growth. Studies published in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrate that exercise-induced muscle damage, a necessary precursor for hypertrophy, occurs predominantly during the eccentric phase of the movement. A particularly relevant study conducted by Hortobaggi and colleagues in 1996 demonstrated that training with emphasis on the eccentric phase resulted in eccentric strength gains of 45%, while traditional concentric training produced only 15% increase in the same measure. Even more impressive, eccentric training also led to a 36% increase in concentric strength, clear evidence that mastering the eccentric phase benefits your overall performance. Why is the eccentric phase so powerful for stimulating growth? There are several mechanisms. First, greater mechanical tension. You are naturally stronger in the eccentric phase, about 20 to 30% stronger, which allows for greater overload and muscle tension. Second, greater muscle damage. The eccentric phase causes micro-ruptures in muscle fibers more efficiently, stimulating the repair and growth process. Third, greater recruitment of type 2 fibers. Fast-twitch muscle fibers, which have greater potential for hypertrophy, are preferentially recruited during controlled eccentric work. How to implement this in your training? The rule is simple: control the descent. In leg press, for example, instead of simply letting the weight descend quickly, take 2 to 3 seconds in the eccentric phase, maintaining constant tension in the muscle. Even if this means reducing the load, the stimulus for hypertrophy will be significantly greater. Remember, it's better to do a leg press with 132 pounds on each side and impeccable execution, controlling the eccentric phase, maintaining full range and constant tension, than to stack kilograms 308 pounds and execute the movement carelessly. Mistake 1. Training legs without desire. It's an almost universal phenomenon in gyms, especially among men. The famous chest day or arm day is faced with excitement, sets to failure, supersets, drop sets, and every possible advanced technique. But leg day? It's frequently approached with reluctance, low intensity, and often even shortened or completely skipped with the classic excuse, "I'll train legs next week." This mindset is particularly counterproductive when we consider some physiological realities. First, the leg muscles are the largest in the human body. Due to their size, they require proportionally more intense stimuli to grow. A half-hearted approach simply doesn't generate enough tension to trigger significant hypertrophic adaptations. Second, intense leg training is one of the most potent natural stimulators of testosterone. Compound exercises like squats and deadlifts significantly elevate anabolic hormone levels in the body, benefiting muscle growth as a whole, including the upper muscle groups we value so much. A study conducted by the University of Texas demonstrated that participants who reported high levels of intrinsic motivation and engagement during workouts obtained strength and hypertrophy gains approximately 60% greater than those who simply went through the motions, even following the same training program. A mental approach that works for many practitioners is understanding that leg training isn't just about the legs themselves. It's an investment in your physique as a whole. The hormonal cascade triggered by intense leg training benefits general muscle development, improves recovery, and optimizes your body composition. Think about it. That extra bicep workout will probably add millimeters to your arms, while a dedicated leg workout can improve your physique as a whole through optimized hormonal response. If you liked the information and want to discover the main mistakes most people make that prevent them from developing and building chest muscle, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing and explaining each of them better. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.